Our fourth presentation this afternoon is from DevEx Resources, and it's my pleasure to welcome Brendan Bradley, the Managing Director, to the podium. DevEx is both a corporate stablemate and a near neighbour of Chalice Gold, the company which has rocketed this year from a 50 million market cap to something well over $1 billion, I think, in the last few weeks, as a result of its stunning discovery in the Julimar region. And DevEx is exploring in the same region, very close to where Chalice made its spectacular discovery, and it's about to start drilling there in the not too distant future. So those are the two key things that you need to know about this next story. It's also exploring in the lucrative Lachlan Fold Belt in New South Wales, and it has a market capitalisation of around $50 million. Could you please welcome Brendan Bradley to the stage? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nicholas, and thank you to the team at Resources Rising Stars. Good afternoon, my name is Brendan Bradley, and thank you for joining us online in Perth and also on the Gold Coast today. I'll just take you through, once I work this out, there we go, our usual disclaimer, which I encourage you to read at your own leisure. Okay, so just to sum up, and Nick summarised it very well, I'll take you through DevEx Resources projects. DevEx's ultimate goal is to deliver a discovery drill hole for our shareholders. Today, I will talk you through why we believe DevEx is so uniquely placed to succeed in delivering this. So we have multiple high-quality projects spread across several of Australia's most sought-after exploration regions, each with their own unique and highly prospective targets. So as Nick was talking about just briefly about the recent discovery by Chalice Gold Mines, we're located in the Western Australia within the Julimar complex of Western Australia. This has seen the new high-grade palladium nickel discovery by Chalice Gold Mines located to the south of our Sovereign project. We're currently actively on the ground exploring our Sovereign nickel copper PG project, and we've been building that story up ready for drilling. So we've been carrying out surface exploration. We've recently flown airborne EM over our project, and we've been defining conductors that are now ready for follow-up work in the ground. So we're planning to be on the ground in the next 2 weeks with doing ground EM, and that'll set us up for targets and for clear targets to be drilling either late this year or very early in January next year, and we're looking forward to getting going with that. Meanwhile, over in the east, in New South Wales, in the Lachlan Fold Belt, and also our new additional project in the Cobar Basin, we've been very active with the drill rig. We've been over there for the last 2 months exploring on our projects, both at the Main Ridge Prospect or Basin Creek project, chasing an extensive golden soil anomaly with drilling, and that drilling has just been completed with results, and we're currently looking at planning for follow-up drilling there. And also at the Junee project, where we're exploring for porphyry copper gold deposits at Junee. And now, with our newly acquired main Wilgar Downs project in the Cobar, we're looking to bring the drill rig on site there in the coming weeks to start drilling a very attractive looking target in the Cobar district. So we offer a great location and we offer great targets. And with an aggressive exploration campaign, which we kicked off 2 months ago with drilling underway, we have more than one chance at delivering that drill hole in the right spot and delivering that discovery success as a result of that. Okay, so this team is led not just by myself, but also by our chairman, Tim Gorder, who is also our major shareholder. Tim's had resounding success this year with the discovery by Chalice Gold Mines to the south and at the Julimar discovery. He's also been very much involved and at the forefront of leading the Liontown team with the growth of the lithium deposit at Kathleen Valley, including the recent feasibility study. And that's not to mention also his involvement with Strike Energy over the past sort of 5 to 10 years and the discovery of gas in the Perth Basin in the recent 12 months. Myself, I'm a geologist by trade. I've got over 25 years of experience, very much focused on gold and base metals, and that's really at the early stages of generation, leading those towards discovery, resource development, and then eventually into mining. Likewise, over in the east, in New South Wales, our Chief Geologist Chris Torrey has been very active in doing excellent work with the team over there, exploring in the Basin Creek and also in the Junee project. And Chris has very much been involved for that 35 years, looking for porphyry copper gold deposits and also epithermal gold deposits, which is right up our alley in New South Wales. So with 246 million shares on issue, current share price last I looked was around 20 cents. And with sufficient cash in the bank, we're well set up to keep going with this exploration project. We're offering our shareholders a good opportunity, and DevEx is certainly leveraged for significant growth when and if we get that drill hole in the right spot. So just taking you into a little bit more detail into our project, starting over in Western Australia and also then moving into New South Wales. I'm just showing you on the left of this, the image on the left is showing you the regional magnetics northeast of Perth. To the south, you're seeing the Chalice Gold Mines discovery, the high-grade palladium and nickel deposit at the Gonaville project. We're centrally located at the Sovereign project. We've got 100% of our exploration application that's processing through towards grant. And on the western side, we have entered into an earn-in agreement with Bauxite Explorer, Australian Silica Quartz, to explore. The beauty of that earn-in agreement gives us immediate access to that magnetic complex at Sovereign project, where we've been on the ground doing the work. They've already done the land access agreements, and we're waiting for our own licence to be granted there. I remind our investors and our shareholders that we're located outside of the Julimar State Forest. We're in an area of broadacre farms, and we're working with the landowners on that, on doing the work that we want to do. To the north of us also is in another existing nickel copper PG project, which drilling over the several years now has been defining nickel copper PG mineralisation, and that's the Yarrawinda Brook project. So the recent spin out of Cassini Resources, Caspin Resources, have been very active there. So we're well located between two existing nickel copper PG projects as well, and we're looking forward to what we're doing. And I just remind our investors and our shareholders that our primary purpose here is looking for massive sulphide, therefore high-grade nickel copper PG mineralisation. So the best way to look for massive sulphides is naturally using geophysics such as EM or electromagnetics. And so as a result of that, we started not just doing work on the ground, but also we've commenced with an airborne EM survey over the Sovereign project. So the image I'm showing you on the left-hand side is what we call the lake time channels, and you're seeing a channel 18, which is identifying these later time conductors that are located. So the white dashed outline that goes around the Sovereign magnetic complex gives you a sense of where we are. This scale that we're talking about here, it's a 6 by 7 kilometre area of scale. So it's a big scaled area, and we've flown this EM over the top, and we're now seeing these conductors up to 1 kilometre in length, and that's providing an immediate area of focus. In the meantime, courtesy of our joint venture partner ASQ, who have been exploring this region previously for bauxite, we've been in re-assaying their bauxite drill holes. These are holes targeting for bauxite mineralisation, so they're very shallow. They're not holes designed to drill down to bedrock. They're really looking at this, that surface pea gravel laterite cover in the bauxite in that. So we've been accessing their pulps and re-assaying those to see if we can see signs of the right rocks that might be underneath this area. And so as a result of that, we're seeing elevated chromium, and chromium in rocks is typically indicative of ultramafic rocks. We're also seeing elevated copper, elevated nickel, and we're seeing platinum and palladium elevated as well. And fortunately, we're seeing that associated very close and proximal to where we're starting to see these EM anomalies as well. So the two slides I'm showing you here, on the left is magnetics, and on the right, in the central area, is the ground gravity work we've been doing. What you can see on the left is the little red dots. The pink dots are showing the areas where these vacuum holes for bauxite we've now re-assayed, and we're seeing elevated palladium and platinum associated and close to where we're seeing these EM anomalies. And also on the right-hand side, likewise, we're seeing associated copper, elevated copper associated with these. So it's setting us up to start drilling. And the next step is in the next 2 weeks, we're planning to get on the ground and start doing the ground EM, which will start to define plates. Some of the previous presenters have already shown you what this is designed around. You create these plates, it gives you a position at depth, it gives you a position along strike, and then it gives you the target for where you're going with your RC drill holes. So we'll be doing that in the next 2 weeks, and now we're talking to the drillers about can we get drilling late this year or very early in January next year. We already have approvals in place for that drilling, so we're just sourcing the rig at the moment. Okay, so that's Western Australia, and I'm pretty excited by that, and I'm sure many of our shareholders are. Meanwhile, in the east, we've been very active with exploration drilling over the last month and a half over on our Basin Creek and also our Junee projects. And in the meantime, we're gearing up to start drilling at the Wilgar Downs project in the coming weeks, where we already have approval and we've got a drill rig ready to arrive on site. So just quickly showing you where we are located here. And in the central area, this is where our Junee and Basin Creek projects are. This is a very well-endowed terrain. People have heard about the recent discoveries, for example, like Alkane Resources. Well, there's existing very large mines there. They're both the Cadia Ridgeway porphyry copper mine, mined by Newcrest in the Macquarie Arc, which is these green rocks you're seeing here. Both colours of green are the Macquarie Arc. And also the porphyry copper gold deposit that's been mined at North Parks by China Moly. The importance of these porphyry copper deposits, which many people have already stated, is the size and the potential of what they offer. And why we're in the Junee project to the south was that in 2017, new mapping by the Geological Survey started to identify the same rocks down around our Junee project, the same age rocks around our Junee project and the same chemistry. And that sparked a pegging rush down and around our area where we pegged our own ground, and we have 100% of our own ground down there. And likewise, as a result of that, we've built our properties up to include the Basin Creek, where we're seeing a very extensive golden soil anomaly, which is, I'm moving on to the next slide, showing you our Basin Creek project and specifically our Main Ridge prospect. So since the licence was granted earlier this year, we've been on the ground doing rock chip sampling, mapping and soil geochemistry, and what we've now defined is a 3.5 kilometre long gold in soil, continuous gold in soil system. It's backed up by rock chips and it's backed up by mapping on the ground where we're seeing extensive alteration. I wish you could mine alteration, but you can't. You've got to drill the holes and find the gold. At the moment, what we've got is we just finished drilling. And just to remind people about what 3.5 kilometres long looks, those that have enjoyed Resources Rising Stars spread today, the lunch today, those that are thinking about going for a power walk this afternoon, will set your timer and set your pacemaker onto how far 3.5 kilometres are. So when you walk your 3.5 kilometres, turn around and look at how far you've walked. This is a very extensive golden soil system. And what we've just done is we've come on with the drill rig and we've drilled 14 RC diamond holes over that 3.5 kilometres long. They're first pass drill holes. They're very broad spaced. They're designed around, can we identify the primary controls to whatever's putting the gold into these soils? And as a result of that, we're starting now to see primary controls to the gold mineralisation. In the centre of the area is the area that we're liking the most. We're seeing very broad alteration there. The anomaly is up to 400 metres wide, and we've drilled really 3 main drill holes into that target, and as a result of that, we're starting to see primary controls. We're getting 1 metre at 6 and we're getting 4 metres at 2. It's not the discovery we're hoping for just yet, but it's setting us into the focus and bearing in mind the spacing of this drilling. The hole there, the RC8, that got 4 metres at 2, the next hole to the south is 400 metres. You can fit a lot of mineralisation in that spacing, and what we're trying to do at the moment is looking at that system. We can map those structures and we can map where that gold is, and now we're considering the next step, which is follow-up drilling of that system, and watch this space next year as we come back here to do more drilling. Meanwhile, at our Junee project located to the northeast, this is what sparked us off into New South Wales, is the Cobar monzonite, which is what I was referring to earlier, which is that red circle at the top of the image of the magnetics. That's off our tenement. That's the monzonite that was assayed and sampled by the Geo Survey, same age as the Cadia Ridgeway monzonite, same age as the monzonite at North Park. So that's what sparked the rush. We grabbed the ground to the south of there. We quite like some of the magnetic targets that we see on our own ground, which is what we've been doing. We've been drilling now for the last 2 months. And of particular interest to us is the hole we just finished at Nangus Road, where a very similar looking magnetic anomaly lies at Nangus Road. We've come in with the first drill hole to test that magnetic target, a diamond drill rig, and we drilled to 418 metres. And from 100 metres to 418 metres, we've been in a monzonite, and it's a very altered chloritic epidote vein monzonite. So a few people have shown different sorts of porphyry models. What we're seeing is that this alteration in this monzonite looks to be just on the outside of the core of the alteration system. We're seeing a little bit of chalcopyrite, a little bit of copper sulfides near the bottom of the hole. We're seeing 5 centimetre veins. We've obviously not drilled the hole perfectly in the right spot yet, but it's the first hole of what looks to be a 2 by 1 kilometre long magnetic target, and so we've got work to do. So as I was just showing you, the JNDD3s hit that monzonite, so we've got the right rocks. We're starting to see the right alteration. The next step is how do we follow up on this? Where do we target the core of that system? So we'll be coming back early in the new year again to look at this and where do we go about drilling the next target. So the third project in New South Wales is a new addition to the portfolio. We like the Wilgar Downs project. We've done an earn-in agreement with Thomson Resources for 80% of the project by expenditure on the ground. We like the target. It looks very similar to the Cobar style deposits that are being mined by Glencore to the south at CSA mine, and also by Aurelia Metals, who are also mining at the Peak area to the south. These are very discrete magnetic anomalies, and we plan to be drilling that in the coming 2 weeks. So a very brief show of what that looks like. Those two magnetic features at Wilgar Downs, they're very discrete magnetic anomalies. They're coincident with gravity, and they're located on a structure that's very similar to what you see down at Cobar. So the target's very clear to us. We're not the first to come up with the idea. It's been drilled by 2 holes early in the 70s who hit, and those holes intersected copper, lead, zinc mineralisation, the right signs. But with the modelling that we've been doing of this magnetic anomaly and the gravity feature there, showing you 2 cross-sections across that feature, you can see that the 2 drill holes that have been drilled that have hit that anomalous mineralisation, the magnetic feature and the gravity feature are deeper down along that structure. And so it's quite simple. We want to turn up with a drill rig in 2 weeks' time and drill straight through that gravity feature and straight into that magnetic target. It's the magnetic target which really defines many of the Cobar Basin style deposits. So watch this space. That's going on in about 2 weeks' time. So a rough timeline, very quickly, because I'm running out of time. We're on the ground in Julimar area. We're doing ground EM in the next 2 weeks to start to set up for the drilling of the nickel copper PG conductors. And likewise, at Basin Creek, we've finished the drilling. We're reviewing those results for follow-up next year. And at Wilgar Downs, we've got a drill rig set to go in 2 weeks' time. So we've still got a lot of momentum, and we're very active in the area on both sides of the state. And look, thank you for your time.
Brendan, a couple of quick ones before you go. Firstly, the airborne EM conductors that you announced at Sovereign, can you comment on how they compare in strength, tenor, etc., to what Chalice announced recently at Borden, Jans and Hartog?
Well, I guess the airborne EM anomalies we're defining, first off, they're late time. Likewise with the Chalice EM anomalies that have been defined, their late time is very important to us. They're up to 1 kilometre in length. I think the best of the Chalice ones was 6.5 kilometres, so we're not quite 6.5 kilometres, but 1 kilometre is a good bit of scale to be exploring, and they're late time, which is important, and so we're looking at these being bedrock conductors. So as far as a direct comparison, I think that we've got the geographic scale to be testing these targets, and we know that they're on rocks that are showing good signs of being the right rocks, similar to the south.
And just finally on that, you can see where investors' minds are going here. Drill rig on the ground, when would you expect that to occur? I think you said end of this year?
Yeah, we'd like to get a drill rig to be drilling by December, and if not December, then January would be the time. It's really about getting that rig. We've organised all the approvals, they're all in place to do the drilling. We've got to do that ground EM, that's scheduled for 2 weeks. That'll define the targets, and then we'll likely either December or January once we get that rig sorted out.
Fantastic. Can you please thank Brendan Bradley?